All right, February is in the books, the last podcast here of the month as we head into what's going to be a busy March here on the Terrific Talk podcast. Baseball's coming, the NBA playoffs are nearing, and of course, March Madness is on the way. We'll have a lot of great guests. I'm back from Hawaii, 2-week vacation. Feels good to be back here in the saddle. I've got a great guest today. Wanted to talk to a New York guy, Scott Stanford, WPIX. He's a 6-time Emmy Award-winning broadcaster. He works for the WWE. We get into Vince McMahon, the XFL, tips for young broadcasters, his career. We get into a whole lot. Let's get to it. Terrific Talk starts right now.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the host.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the bag, it gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Beautiful day here from the Hoboken Studios in New Jersey. Thanks for checking the podcast out, whether you're listening on iTunes or off our brand new site, clnsmedia.com. It's great to be with you. I've got a great guest today. Scott Stanford is a sports anchor for WPIX 11 here in New York City, the Big Apple. He's also the studio host of This Week in WWE on the WWE Network. He's a 6-time Emmy winner. It's great to have him on today. Let me bring him in here. Scott Stanford, welcome to Terrific Talk.
Hey, how are you, my friend? Listen, when you say Terrific Talk, you come to the right spot, bud.
I knew I had to have you.
By the way, if I may brag for a second, up once again for sports anchor and news anchor Emmys this year.
Wow. Awesome.
Shows you what a scam that is, right?
No, well deserved. We'll be pulling
Thanks for
you.
having me, bud.
We'll be pulling for you here on the podcast. So your co-host on This Week in WWE, Charlie Caruso, I actually went to college with. We were in the same class. Yeah, we all the broadcasting classes. She's great. It seems like you two have great chemistry. How has Charlie been to work with? And be honest.
You know what? Aside from me having to put on her eyelashes and brush her hair every 5 minutes, she's been great. You know what? Charlie came to WWE a couple of years ago, and she has the on-camera skills and the experience because I believe she was a sports anchor in Indianapolis for a little bit. So, gave her some good on-camera experience. And I got to tell you, she really took to the product very well. She knows the product, which is, one of the biggest things they like over there at WWE is following and knowing what you're talking about. But as far as her on-camera presence, her on-camera conversation, she's been doing very well, and I know they're really very happy with her. And she's, of course, on Monday Night Raw as well as one of the backstage interviewers. So she's doing. I know they look at her as rising star there at WWE.
Shout out to Charlie. While we're talking WWE, Vince McMahon, I wanted to hear your take on return of the XFL. What's your take on that?
You know what? I was surprised that Vince wanted to take that on. But of course, just knowing him mostly from as an outsider, as most people do, unless you're part of his family, Vince is one of these guys that, it didn't do so great in the past, and you knew one day he wanted to bring that thing back and try to make a success out of it. You ask yourself why, at his age, in his early 70s, obviously a guy in great shape, why take that on when the WWE is really doing, better than it ever has, and it's, globally successful.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys. You look at self-made billionaires, the guys who get the 3-4 hours of sleep a night, and they wake up every day motivated to find new successes, if you will. And I think Vince, and again, I'm not speaking for him, just my opinion, I think he looks at this as an opportunity for him to bring it back and show the world that, this can be a success. And he believes in it so much that he's doing it on his own this time. He's got no partners. It's all him. It's not going to be, if you saw the press conference, it's not going to be all the glitz and glamour that it was last time. And from what I understand, he's going to pull himself away from WWE when the time comes to completely concentrate on this new football league, which in his mind he feels is a good time to bring it out. I guess in 2019 we said, or 2020, and let this thing fly again. And hopefully it's a success, and it's everything he sets out for it to be.
We see Vince's passion. We also see yours. Where did your passion for sports and broadcasting come from?
Well, you know what? My passion is really broadcasting. You know, you could put me in any situation, whether it's sports, news. I was the morning co-host on our morning show here for a couple of years with my partner Sukanya, who's now at Fox 5. We were really burning it up in the morning. It's basically a passion for broadcasting, regardless of the situation you put me in. Now, granted, WWE, I've been a big fan since I'm a little kid, and from the day my older brother got his camcorder back when I was a kid in college, you know, he was the wrestler, and I was always Mean Gene. You know, all right, come on in, Hulk Hogan. I was always impersonating Mean Gene. So you know, to be a part of WWE, it's not only a great gig, but it's also one that, you know, I always dreamed about doing as a kid, and I'm getting to live that out. And the best part about it is WWE, because of my schedule, never interferes with my New York broadcasting job at Pix or when I was at NBC. So it always works out timing-wise. It's perfect. But the passion, and I know most broadcasters will tell you, is that, you know, being on the air, it's like, and I heard Stephen Colbert say this the other day to Howard Stern, you know, the drug is being out on that stage and being on the air. So not necessarily crazy, you know, a crazy sports guy or a crazy WWE guy. You know, if you told me I was going to host a game show tomorrow, I'd be ready to go. It's the whole, when you're a broadcaster, in my opinion, you're always ready to do anything in any situation that you're thrown into, because in this day and age, you are thrown into any situation.
Yeah, you got to do it all. There's breaking news all the time. What's the best advice you can give young broadcasters out there who want to get into this business?
The best advice I can give, and we just did this, I was at a workshop with some other people, some executive producers of people who wanted to be on camera, and we had a chance to sit and rate them on their on-camera presence and their performance. But the one piece of advice I always give to kids, and this was advice that I got and I followed it, was if you're in high school, okay, and that's where my passion first started in high school. You know, you host the plays, you host the talent shows. I know high schools have great little TV stations now, and when you get to college, you do the radio stations and you do the TV stations, and you get as much experience as possible on camera, off camera, because again, in this day and age, you could be called upon to produce, to edit, to shoot. But the main thing on air-wise is practice, practice, practice. That's the number one thing, being loose on camera, being comfortable on camera. And the one thing I always tell everybody is just be yourself. You know, when it comes to me, I'm the same person on the air as I am off the air. I'm a goofball on the air. I like to be a goofball off the air. Try to keep things light, not take everything too serious. Because you know, at the end of the day, what we do is not all that serious in the day-to-day life of everyday living.
Yeah.
You know, what we do is, you know, we come on the air, we do the thing, and it goes away, and you know, people go about their lives, and you know, we don't really change anyone's life. We're not curing any diseases. So it's just you know, if I could say, if I had a son who was ready to get into broadcasting, I would say just stand in front of that mirror, look at the newspaper, practice reading stories, practice interviewing people. And it's all about your comfort zone for when you go for that audition, or when someone says, all right, you know what? Hey, we need you tomorrow to be on the air at this time, and you're comfortable doing it, and you jump in like a pro, like you've been doing it your whole life. So it's all about the practice.
Great advice. You're very active on Twitter. As a broadcaster, on-air personality, what do you like about Twitter? How do you like to use it?
You know what? Twitter, it's funny. Twitter, when it first started, it was a lot less important than it is now, because when you're working for various companies, you know, WWE is huge on social media. The TV news stations are all big on social media now, and one of the things, you know, you're part of your job being on air is to be on social media as well. So, you know, like when you say you're very active on social media, I'm not even as active as half of the people I work with because I don't like to post too many things. But when I do, I always want to make it entertaining and give my whoever's following or whoever retweets whatever we're doing on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, give them a reason to smile. And sometimes they'll send you back a comment, sometimes they won't. But getting back to my original point, the people you work for now, part of your job is to be active on social media. That's why you see so many news anchors and reporters. Everybody's putting up pictures and putting up headlines because your bosses want to see that you're active on social media because it's become such an important part of our lives. It's even your phone and social media.
Yeah,
they're all together. So it's basically it's part of the job description to do all that.
Yeah, a lot of people are getting their news on Twitter, and if it's a big story, then they'll put the TV on and see what's really going on.
Right, exactly. And it's it's fun. Sometimes the favorite thing is when you get somebody who wants to rip you on Twitter. Hey man, I hate you. You screwed around too much on the sports. I hate your views or whatever it is. And then when you answer them back, hey man, thanks for responding. That was great.
It's amazing.
They just try to get a response out of you, and you got to have very thick skin, and you can't let, I know there's always a saying in sports, we're not as bad, when we're doing bad, we're not as bad as we think we are, and we're not as good as we think we are. So when you get the good responses with the bad, you can't go too high and too low, because I know people who can get 100 responses of how great they are and how someone loves them. You get that one bad response, and that's that sticks in your head the whole time. So you got to remember where it's coming from. You got to remember who you're reaching, and really, again, how much does it affect our day? You can't take it too seriously. That's all I could tell you when it comes to social media.
I know. All right, quick break to talk about Warby Parker. Buying glasses can be expensive, annoying, and overwhelming. I've had glasses my whole life. I know what it's all about. Well, Warby Parker, they got the answer. By cutting out the middlemen and selling directly to customers online and in their stores, Warby Parker is able to provide high-quality, great-looking eyewear at a fraction of the usual price. Their prescription glasses start at $95. This includes frames, lenses, and coatings. The people behind Warby Parker feel that glasses should not cost more than your phone. You might be thinking, how can you possibly buy eyeglasses online? Well, with Warby Parker's complete free home try-on program, you can. I did this. I ordered 5 pairs of glasses online. They were shipped directly to me at my home. I had 5 days. I tried them on. I showed them to my wife. I'm not gonna lie, I looked good in all 5. They were all hits. Looking good. But it's 100% free and easy. When you find a pair of glasses you like, you go to warbyparker.com/CLNS and order your favorite pair. They'll even call your doctor if you don't have your prescription handy. Go to Warby, that's WARBY, Parker.com/CLNS to get started with a free home try-on. That's warbyparker.com/CLNS to find your perfect pair of glasses today. Go check it out. Now back to Scott Stanford. A couple quick rapid-fire questions here before we let you go. First off, who's been your favorite athlete to interview?
You know what? I just did this the other day. I was covering spring training at the Yankees. Nick Swisher.
Swish.
Former Yankee,
Nice.
Nick Swisher. Swish was there as a special instructor. And you know what? I said, Swish, people ask me this question all the time. Who's your favorite athlete? I said, Nick Swisher has always been my go-to guy. Because when I go into that locker room and I start doing trivia questions and I want somebody to sing for me, with a song question or what, Nick Swisher is a guy that will do it for you every day. Always happy, Nick Swisher. My favorite, hands down.
Awesome. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
It's a funny question. My favorite wrestler of all time, when I was a kid, Bruno Sammartino was the guy. Right? Bruno Sammartino, I think, still holds the record for the most years as WWE champ. But my favorite wrestler of all time, you're going to laugh at this, when I was a kid, was Ivan Putski, Polish Power.
Nice.
Remember him?
Yeah, sure.
Remember Ivan Putski? When I was a kid, my dad used to take us to the Westchester County Center, the little venue over in White Plains, and Ivan Putski would be there, and he would wrestle Andre the Giant. It would be, this little guy with muscles against Andre, 7'4". But I always had the Polish Power T-shirt. See, you know what? I give you three. I'll give you Bruno Sammartino, Ivan Putski, and I'm going to throw Chief Jay Strongbow in there as well.
All right, there's your three. What's your favorite TV show that you're watching right now?
I have a couple of them. I'm into the Homelands. I like that.
Yep.
Ray Donovan, I really like. And every once in a while, somebody will actually tell me I look like Ray Donovan, which I really like.
There you go.
I don't see it, but they tell me that. And I also like, the shows on Netflix that I get into. The Ozarks, Stranger Things I was watching. Really good stuff. But, Homeland just started, so I'm into that now a little bit. Oh, and also Shameless. Love Shameless. Those are my favorites right now.
We like all the same shows. What's one book you could recommend to people out there that you think is a great read?
Oh boy, you know what? The one book. I'm not a big book reader. I was always a newspaper guy, a magazine guy. Of course, the Maxim Hot 100 magazine. I always read that one.
Favorite.
The one book I was always interested in the whole JFK assassination. There's a book that I always loved called Mob Boss, and it was about mob boss Sam Giancana out of Chicago. I must have read that book 10, 15 years ago. I'll never forget it. And it was all about how Sam Giancana was responsible for the assassination of JFK, responsible for the murder of Marilyn Monroe, all really very intriguing stuff. So
wow.
It's called Mob Boss, the Sam Giancana story. So if I had to recommend one, that would be it.
Last one. Will the Dwayne...
You know what else?
Yeah.
There's one more. I haven't read the whole thing, but I had him in recently. This Book Has Balls by Michael Rappaport.
Oh, okay. Was it funny?
That's a fun read, yeah. If you're into New York sports, that's a fun read.
He's hilarious. Last question. Will Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson ever run for president?
God, I hope not. I hope he doesn't. I hope Oprah doesn't. I don't think if you're not happy with the former celebrity TV star we have in there now, I don't think replacing him with another celebrity/TV star is the way to go. I would like to see Rock team up with Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania, though. That would be good.
That would be amazing.
I recommend that. That would be a good storyline, yeah. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, we'll see. Scott, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody go check out Scott on Twitter. His handle is @ScottStanford1. Scott, thanks again. You were great.
Thank you, my friend. A pleasure to be on with you.